recap. Last one, I really didn't go. I did a recap in the last video, of course, but in that video we see the fights, and we see what would happen if Naruto wasn't in the village. And we see that Lee is not damaged completely, so Lee can be in the next finals to do a rematch versus somebody. Lee is also stronger. Hinata is the same strength, but we see that Shinkaku has been taken away from Gaara, ultimately making him stronger according to Shippuden whenever you take Shinkaku out of the equation to Gaara and stuff like that. So Gaara would be nicer, and Shinkaku half would be nicer and stuff, and he is able to go outside his body, but he would have just been sucked up by him, turned into a ball of chakra, like we've seen them able to do, and pretty much get sealed away permanently, even consciousness, because he can't even do anything in that chakra form. If he tries to reform, he can just push him back with his own chakra. So he's just inside Naruto. This would also make Naruto a bigger target, because if you guys didn't know, the whole sucking away all the tail beasts, currently you have to go in order and stuff. So you have to go in order to unlock the whole statue. So it has to go 1 tails, 2 tails, 3 tails, and all, etc. And it doesn't need all the chakra of a tail beast and stuff like that. But this is whenever I want to get to the 2 months of training between all that. But he already knows that Kirby Sage or Jiraiya is there because he can feel his chakra. And I'll say that Jiraiya does know that he can talk to the Nine Tails, and the Nine Tails doesn't really do anything. And he told the Nine Tails not to interfere, and Nine Tails accepted. But he meets up, but he knows that he has a regulator on and all that of chakra. But whenever he feels him, he feels like a tail, sort of like a weakened Kurama's out. And he asked, "What is that?" This is whenever I'll say a mini version that Shinkaku will come out saying that I named Shinkaku the One Tails. Trying to freak Dry out, but Dry can body him in one strike, because Dry is pretty strong. But yeah, he'll explain them to the whole situation. And this is whenever we don't know if all tail beasts can do this, but we've seen the Nine Tails able to do this. But I'll just say in this what if that they can do a bond, a link between all the tail beasts in this one. That's inside of him, of course. And the Shinkaku does know about his heritage, but Naruto doesn't know that he is an alien pretty much, or a god. But this is where we're going to get into the whole art battle, or the whole training. So he would, of course, get told about summoning, but his summoning would be the Rinnegan summonings, because he does have the animal path. Or I'll say he already knows summoning, because that is one of his Rinnegan's abilities. So I'll say his summoning is a bird and a 3-headed dog, of course. But yeah, so yeah, I'll say right now they're trying to figure out all the abilities. The only way Dry tells him to release the limiter. This is whenever we're gonna see what happens whenever he does all 9 stages of his blade. Almost reminding me of Gaara's sister, where her weapon will get stronger at how many moons that she shows you and all that. But yeah, so he would click it with moon crescents coming up, and that's when you see all 9 appear with a huge bunch of energy chakra bursting out Naruto at such a high pace would automatically start making his Rinne Sharingan start acting up and start spinning with, I'll say, 3 more Tomoes going around it, because I've never really stated this, but his less energy he has, the more the Rinnegan will go down. And I'll say with 5% of his energy would turn into a regular Rinnegan. Because we've seen Sasuke, whenever he uses a whole bunch of energy, his Tomoe will disappear. So I'll just say it's kind of like that. But yeah. This is where I'll say I'll give him like 15 Tomoes. Just because I don't really know how many they actually had. I'll just say 15. Even though I don't think that's right. I think it was actually 12. But yeah, whatever. So this is whenever, because he had this limiter since he was a kid. I'll say, yeah, since he was 9. And at his 9 stage, he only had 12 Tomoes. Because his chakra still grows even more whenever he's doing all the stuff. So this would mean that his eye even upgraded since he was a child. So I will point it out and see if you have any more abilities. This is when he tells him to pour as much chakra into his eye. With everybody in the village feeling his chakra, even the third Hokage knowing that that is Naruto. But I'll say they're at the water place and he's standing on water. This is whenever he pours all the chakra in his eyes, would start moving the stuff around them. And this is whenever a huge wave would burst around him, and that's whenever the wave would stop. And Naruto would look around, seeing everything stopped in motion. So this is whenever you'd be like, what's going on? Still focus chakras in his eye. Of course, he walks around, and I'll say 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, he feels sudden chakra exhaustion. I'll say, not chakra exhaustion, but I'll say 10% of his chakra disappears for a second and comes back because how much they can regain chakra after using their ability so many times. And I'll say he was like walking around, and Jiraiya sees him behind him and asks, how did he get there? That's whenever he says that it seems like I have some kind of new ability with this, saying that everything suddenly stops. And stuff like that. And he tells him to do it again with his chakra, him feeling that his chakra just went down for like a second and it comes back up. So he practically has infinite chakra because his chakra can come back so quickly because he is a otsutsuki, all that. So this is whenever he tells him to do that again. But this time, whenever he does it, 10 minutes later, I'll say he handed him a timer, and once it hits 10, the thing stops, and that's whenever he tells back and stops time for 10 minutes, and that's when Jiraiya feels the chakra gone again, but it comes back up instantly. And that's when he's even more intrigued because his chakra comes back almost like it's infinite and all that. Which the limiter is still on. Like, I'm telling you, like, all of his chakra has been stored into the limiter and all that. So that's where all of his chakra is coming back to him, because it hasn't yet. It's slowly getting into him. This is where I'll say he tells him to not use the limiter anymore, telling him that, and he asks why. And that's when we see the limiter starts cracking because we have a whole bunch of chakra poured into it. Then it pretty much disintegrates with a burst of chakra, spraying everywhere and going into Naruto, pulling him at his full 100% of Naruto and beast mode. Not beast mode, but this is whenever I'll say his bunny horns get a little longer and stuff. And now his Rinne Sharingan starts moving again, but in the opposite direction whenever he looks at the blade. And Purvy Sage sees this and he asks, "What are you doing?" This is when we see the blades start coming back together and stuff like that. He can also do this in a wider spread area, like actually going back in time, but he just wanted to get his sword back. And this is whenever he like, I'll say sees what else he can do. Now he does the opposite direction that his eye's going, with, I'll say, him looking at the blade, him, I'll say, taking a kunai that he has and looking at it, pouring a lot of chakra in with it, disintegrating. And he asks what he did then. That's when he says that I turn time forward, I think. And he asks if he can do that widespread. He does, and all that. And after learning all these abilities, this is whenever Shikaku says that I can probably give you a special ability. And he asks what, and this is whenever he says magnet release. Which, I don't really know what magnet release does. I think it only gives him sand. Well, of course it would give him sand, but the sand has like markings on it. And also say that he can magnetize his weapons. So it's pretty much like instead of him have to use the Rinnegan to pull something back, he'll just have to use magnet release. So he'll put that on his sword, which he doesn't have the seal anymore. And that would turn his crescent moons into blood red ones. And stuff like that. That's whenever he says I haven't used a sword in a while, and seeing if I can still use it. Of course he can. And stuff like that. This is whenever we're going to get into the whole battles. Which, I'll just do in the next part, actually.